Tonight, early morning raid ends on a high. Members of the Electoral Commission announced. And police officer in critical condition following this accident. Very good evening. A major drug bust was made this morning at Ntalasese settlement in Tailevu. More than 70 plants were uprooted and $700 cash was confiscated. The team involved in the raid tracked more than 3 hours to the farm where the plants were allegedly cultivated. A 38-year-old woman is now in custody and police are searching for her 35-year-old husband. Police carried out an early morning raid following weeks of surveillance regarding alleged marijuana cultivation. Chief Operations Officer Assistant Commissioner of Police Kusiati Tundrabu says similar operations will be carried out in other parts of the country. ACP Tundrabu warned members of the public to refrain from getting involved in such activities. He also acknowledged the assistance of the general public in terms of information related to the raid. Millions of dollars belonging to land-owning units still remain with the Itoke Land Trust Board. That's because these land-owning units haven't fulfilled requirements pertaining to the distribution of funds. I'll let us start with the details.
There are more than 4,500 land-owning units registered with the Itoke Land Trust Board. Out of this, almost half or 44% of landowners' money totaling $10 million is currently held by the board. The remaining 56% of landowners who have complied with the requirements have received the funds.
Those leases, those people who have not collected their rent, most of them have a couple of leases and all that. So there are some difficulties associated with bank accounts. Also, they may have dispute and conflict within the Matangali or the Ivusa, so they are not forming their trustees.
Getaki says the board last year has done its part to ensure all landowners' funds are distributed equally.
We are now waiting for the company that is enhancing our process to deal with the landowners register, because we need the information from the landowners register to be able to distribute equally. Now, that is not online at the moment, so they are working on that.
Without payment, the funds then accumulate. It remains like so until landowners make the relevant arrangements with their banks.
We collected 51.9 million in 2013. We actually distributed 52.5 million, which means that some of those people who have got frozen funds have now complied with our requirement. Either they have settled their dispute and we've released their money, or they've formed their trustees and we have given their money to the bank.
The board hopes to sort this issue out by March. Halitesh Dutt, Fiji One News.
The members of the Electoral Commission have been appointed. The 7-member team will be led by former Fiji Law Society President Chen Banyang. Joe Bukelang explains.
The Attorney General this afternoon announcing the names of those appointed to the Electoral Commission. Led by former Law Society President Chen Banyang, it also includes some well-known members of the society. Ayat Said Kahum says that they should start work soon.
All of these people have, of course, been appointed for the various and respective skill sets they'll bring to the Commission. They are all apolitical individuals and have integrity and credibility, which is what the Fijian Elections Office is supposed to be now, have as a characteristic or key characteristic.
The group will also be responsible for naming the new supervisor of election.
In the near future, the Constitutional Officers Commission, in consultation with the Electoral Commission, will appoint the new supervisor of elections. Once that is done, then all the appointments will have taken place, of course, including the 14,000. There is a very concerted effort being put into and thought processes being put into the training of the personnel.
Said Kayum says that a total of 14,000 personnel will be working on the ground on polling day.
And of course, subsequently, there will be other positions that will be advertised. We expect the next batch to have 160 people. And of course, for the polling day staff, we expect to recruit 14,000 people for the actual polling day itself.
The 2014 general election will be held in September. Nrebukelangi, Fiji One News.
There will be no amendments to the 2013 Constitution. Attorney General Said Qayyum says the time given for amendments has lapsed. Meanwhile, those political parties wishing to name their candidates for the general elections can do so now.
Normally the practice is that political parties will nominate the candidates once the election date is announced, and there's various procedures as outlined in the Constitution. We need to look at that. But there's nothing stopping them from informally saying who's going to stand for the elections. That's up to them.
Meanwhile, registrations for citizens living abroad will start again next month. Officials are expected to head out to Australia before moving on to registering Fijians living in Europe.
The one for Australia starts in February. I think it was in today's Fiji Times, one of the papers that Fiji Sun puts up their finger, that it was in the Fiji Sun today that they will start in February.
And in line with the preparations for the September elections, the Korean government handed over 4 vehicles to the elections office. The Korean ambassador hopes this will assist election officials' work in terms of efficiency.
With these vehicles, I hope the Fiji election office could further accommodate logistical arrangements in preparing the 2014 general elections and serve better voter population of around 543,000 for the whole country.
The Attorney General assured the Korean officials that the assistance will be put to good use, especially when we are just 8 months away from elections.
Thank you very much,
In
ladies and
terms
gentlemen.
of holding what we believe will be the first, most transparent, free and credible elections in Fiji's history, given the fact also that it will be coupled with the fact that we'll be conducting elections under an electoral system that does recognize for the first and only time, and of course henceforth, a common and equal citizenry where one vote will have one value.
Foreign Affairs Minister Ratu Inoke Kumbuombola has handed over the chair of the group of 77 plus China to Bolivia. Fiji assumed the lead role of this influential United Nations bloc last year, leading 133 countries in promoting interests of developing nations within the UN system. Our leadership of the global gathering has not gone unnoticed by the UN.
It was a challenge that the Fijian government readily accepted last year. The chair of the United Nations' biggest voting bloc, the G77 plus China. And considering the magnitude of the challenge, Fiji's term at the helm of chairmanship has been a successful one. Last year there were resolutions covering a wide spectrum of sustainable development challenges and also on racism, women, family issues and humanitarian assistance as the nations tried to achieve the Millennium Development Goals.
We are all aware of the magnitude and complexity of the challenges facing the group in the next 2 years as we accelerate the achievement of the MDGs, formulate the SDGs, and elaborate on a universal global development agenda beyond 2015.
Ratu Inoke Kumbuombola says Fiji continues to call on the 133 countries in the G77 to make poverty eradication a priority in the post-2015 development agenda.
We continue to stress that poverty eradication remains the overarching and central objective of the post-2015 development agenda. We must ensure that policies and development efforts targeted at poverty eradication and responsive to the challenges as well to the opportunities of sustainable development.
Developing nations continue to face an uphill battle, especially in terms of sustainable development. And Kumbuombola says that international cooperation at this level is very important.
The challenges ahead demand our strong response and innovative approaches to address systemic and global problems. It is imperative that we continue to call for an international development architecture that is conducive and responsive to the needs and priorities of the developing world.
Bolivian President Evo Morales assumed the chairmanship yesterday and will hold the position for the next year. Myron Williams, Fiji One News.
The Itoke Lands Trust Board collected $52 million for landowners from leases in 2013. This is a slight increase from little more than $51 million in 2012. And as Salita Start reports, the board also surpassed its target of new leases issued for last year.
The Itoke Lands Trust Board last year distributed $52.5 million to landowners. Over the last 3 years, the board has given out $152 million. Board General Manager Ali Patingetaki says 2013 was generally a good year for the landowners.
For the landowners, it's a very good year. From 2011 to 2013, we had collected 145.3 million for the landowners.
Getaki says the board is going for economic quality leases. As a result, more than 1,000 such new leases were given out. He adds that government has paid more than $26 million to the TLTB over the last 5 years.
With the government team in the Committee for Better Utilization of Land, particularly for agricultural lands, and the extension of sugarcane leases and all that. And we have reached, by end of last year, approximately 80% of the target. So there's 20% off of our target, but we are doing something about it.
The board also invested $19.8 million in various institutions.
TLTB has been working very hard to improve its internal systems, internal processes, its procedures, and also to update its manuals and all that. And all these are paying off.
Going forward, the board hopes to be more visible amongst landowners and tenants. Ali Teshtat, Fiji One News.
A police officer is admitted in hospital after sustaining injuries from a serious accident this morning. The vehicle he was driving veered off the road and crashed into a shop at the junction of Narere Road at Langere. It's understood the driver, who is in his 40s, was on his way home when the accident occurred. He was rushed to the hospital this morning and currently admitted in the intensive care unit. There were no other casualties. Investigations are continuing.
Investigations are into its early stages at the moment. We're still trying to ascertain what happened and whether it was a result of speeding or what other factors are involved. But until we can gather more information from our investigators on the ground, then we can comment.
Still to come tonight, hunt continues for elusive Eli Kisuka. And falsified documents worries Immigration Department. Hello again. Leading this segment, police are still searching for Eli Kisuka, the missing 65-year-old man who was linked to a fire at Singatoka 3 weeks ago. He is wanted for questioning in relation to a fire at Natavora along the Coral Coast that claimed the life of his wife. A $1,000 reward is offered for anyone with information regarding Suka. Members of the public can contact the Director Criminal Investigations Department, SSP Luke Rawalai, on 9905-037 or 3315-599.
Right now we still have had no luck with any information that has been coming through that could help us locate 65-year-old Eli Kisuka. We've been trying all avenues. We've searched along the coastal Coral Coast. We've searched the hill areas. We've searched all the areas that he's known to frequent, but no credible information is coming forward.
Police are once again warning parents and guardians to take their roles very seriously, especially in light of the recent high incidence of drownings. Even more worrying for police is the link between alleged negligence and drowning deaths.
Over the years, a fair number of drowning cases that have been reported involved children. And with some of these cases, parents or guardians are found to be at fault.
So far, we have charged some parents for the issue of negligence, and it doesn't just boil down to cases where drowning is concerned, with a victim of a drowning, where a child is involved. It's actually for all cases where a child has been a victim of any tragedy.
Some parents and guardians have been taken to task, and the force is in the process of prosecuting others.
these are children. They need our constant supervision. They need constant monitoring, and it just takes a second for disaster, tragedy to occur. And once you've lost the life of your child, that in itself, has caused so much suffering. And then again, to be responsible for causing the death of your child, and that's an added pain and suffering, and that's why we've always been reiterating this. I know it's something that we continue to say, and people might say we've got nothing else better to say, but it's the importance of our children's lives, and that's why we continue to say this.
Just into the second week of the year, and already 2 children have drowned. The Fiji Police Force continues to stress the importance of monitoring children.
They are children, so they have a tendency to explore, they have a tendency to do things that even though once we've said not to, they will continue to do that. So it's just the onus is on each individual to ensure that they continue to take our advice on board seriously.
The force calls on parents and guardians to do their part and ensure that such incidents are curbed. Reviver for all, Fiji One News.
It seems some of our citizens are already evading the clutches of our Border Control Authority. Those concerns come to light after recent cases of impersonation has reached the operational desks of our Immigration Department. This means people have been trying to secure their travel documents fraudulently. Apisalome Rambo with that story.
The Immigration Department continues to deal with people bringing in false documents in order to secure a passport. It's when these applications have been processed that they catch out these dubious people.
There's a lot of customers coming in with the same birth certificate.
Vuniwanga says the presentation of identical identification documents is a concern.
They have the same identification number of that birth certificate, which says that it is the same person, but we cannot issue a second passport to the second person because we've already issued a passport.
And it's not only false birth certificates that they are dealing with, but marriage certificates as well.
The same marriage certificate that was presented in 2008, we also was presented recently. Said, hey, are these 2 people married to the same person or not?
According to Vuniwanga, those engaged in such acts are committing a crime, which could only mean that they are concealing the real motives behind their application.
For us at the department, the challenge right now is to identify who is the real person behind that particular document.
Vuniwanga suggested that a possible solution would be to establish an agreement with the registrar's office. He suggested that photographs be provided when trying to acquire a marriage certificate. The Director of Immigration says it's possible some of those who have beaten the system were those on Fiji's border control watch list. Apisalome Rambo, Fiji One News.
The Methodist Church of Fiji hopes that 2014 will be a year they focus a little more on the welfare of those in need. Having already established key organizations to work in these areas, one key project now earmarked for major upgrades is its Mba Mission Hospital.
The country's largest religious body plans to invest a little more of its resources this year on welfare. They are already looking at different areas they can do this, delegating the welfare department to focus on their core role, looking after their people.
This department looks not only at the issues affecting society, but is responsible for the social welfare aspect of the church. And it's important that in the face of people struggling on their day-to-day lives, that we look to see how we can find ways to support them and also ease the burden on our members.
Also, the country's third largest landowner, the Methodist Church, is also planning to develop some of its unused land in these areas of urgent need.
In the course of this year, as we look to develop and implement the strategic plan, as we look to the theme of Jubilee, which is part of our celebration of our 50th anniversary, it really is about the liberation of our people. And one of the strongest issues that we find is the economic burden that is faced by our people.
While the church was the first to establish orphanages in the country, they also help operate the Mba Mission Hospital.
We're looking at strategies, and we will continue in the next month to look at the key strategies to see how we can help alleviate poverty, but not just alleviate poverty, how we can encourage one another to once again have that spirit of, you can call it charity, but for us we call it love, for those who are less fortunate than us.
Ndrubu Kelangi, Fiji One News.
The Ministry of Social Welfare, Women and Poverty Alleviation received a timely assistance from the United Nations Population Fund, or UNFPA, yesterday. This vehicle is expected to assist the ministry send out teams to women resource centres around the country. This is part of its partnership with the UNFPA to reach out to young women and rural communities. The partnership is specifically based on an annual work plan to enlighten and empower married women and young women to reproductive health issues.
And this is based on a World Bank review of our programs, and they did mention that a family with poverty is found in a family with so many children. This project will enable us, to go in that direction.
And Suva will engage 300 youths through awareness and advocacy programs.
We do that by giving, through this resource center, to the woman that goes to this resource center, the proper information about reproductive health, about how they want to plan their family, about, comprehensive sexuality education, when, they have, will have the children themselves, all these issues that women needs to address.
For those still celebrating the new year by beating drums, this one's for you. Police are calling on members of the public to be mindful of others when engaged in festive activities which tend to be noisy. This comes after complaints about those making noise late into the night in certain neighborhoods.
They should be considerate too of the communities that they're in, and just be mindful of the fact that maybe not everybody will be as accepting as they are of the things that they're doing. I know that people have been going around beating drums late into the night, early into the next morning. So I think at this point in time, we'll just ask everyone just to exercise some kind of common sense.
The Water Authority of Fiji is reviewing its 20-year master plan. The review will focus on projecting future demands and needs based on the country's population growth.
The master plan for the Water Authority of Fiji was enacted in 1999 and has been reviewed already. The plan helps WAF to make plans accordingly in terms of water supply demand and its resources. This year's review will set a platform for the next decade or so for the authority.
Well, the review is basically to look at the population growth, the demands that we are going to project for the next 10-15 years, and we must plan accordingly. And also work in line with what the government is trying to do in certain areas of the country.
The review is already underway and is expected to be completed sometime this year. The authority is currently in the process of collating important and relevant data to complete the review.
We don't have all the data with us. We need to talk to a few agencies, and the sooner we get these types of data or information from them, the sooner we can compile our plan and move forward with it.
With $32 million more in its coffers compared to last year's budget, the authority is expecting a busy 2014.
There's a lot of plans. There's $71 million worth of capex that we have to implement. Again, it's a good budget for the people. The people will, at the end of the day, benefit from this. We are just the implementing agency for this project. So $71 million in water infrastructure improvements and wastewater, of course, will just improve the lives of people.
Last year, WAF was able to complete 52 out of 55 rural water projects. Halitesh Dutt, Fiji One News.
Stay with us for the latest around the region. That's up next. Stay with us. The family of a boy who made a video ridiculing Samoa's Prime Minister has been ordered to pay a fine of $4,300, 30 cartons of tin fish and 2 cows. According to the Samoan Observer newspaper, the video was widely circulated by phone in Samoa and also posted on Facebook, mocking Prime Minister Tuilaiapa Sailele Malielegaoi. The chiefs of the village of Sili in Savai'i have since made a traditional apology to the Prime Minister, and anyone who spoke to the media in Samoa also faced an identical fine. Reporting on the asylum seeker issue from Nauru's Manus Islands will cost journalists a lot more soon. That's after the Nauruan Parliament endorsed a 3,900% increase in the visa application fee for journalists wanting to visit Manus Island to report from there. Under the new fee structure, which is expected to come into force this week, it will cost media professionals up to 8,000 Australian dollars to apply for a single entry visa valid for up to 3 months. That's the equivalent of just over 13,500 Fijian dollars. The money would not be refunded even if the application is rejected. Presently, journalists can apply for a subclass of business visa for media workers. The new $15,000 fee has been approved by the Nauruan Parliament, but will not be implemented until it has been gazetted. And remember, you can view tonight's Fiji One News Bulletin on our website. That's at www.fijione.tv. And you can also watch previous news bulletins as well as our current affairs, business and sports shows. Amalgamated Telecom Holdings has sold off its ATH Technology Park Limited. This was sold for $6.3 million to the Fiji National Provident Fund. The Watuanga property was earmarked to host the country's first technology park. We go to sports now with Drew, and Ben Ryan's commitment shining.
Yes, Vili, he's here to stay after signing his contract. That's coming up. Also in sport, Kolinisau tips to regain captaincy. And Roy Krishna wants to prove he's the goods.